So I've been using both macOS and Windows for more than a decade. And I want to compare the basic features to see what you're giving up from Windows to Mac and vice versa. First off is the files and documents. On Windows, you will open the File Explorer and you get a lot of details. There's the sidebar where the default quick access folders are, as well as the entire folder structure of Windows, such as My Computer, Drive C, My Documents, and etc. You can open multiple tabs, though this is a recent thing. There's also a path bar, file size, date modified, number of items, and storage info. Now on the Mac, the Finder runs the show. Apple made sure it's clean and minimalistic as possible, at least by default, right? We have the favorite folders on the sidebar, and we can also pin folders in there. But the other detail features need to be enabled in the view menu to show the path bar, status bar, and the tab bar, although this is on by default. Now on the File Explorer, when you copy files, you can see the file transfer speeds in real time. While on Finder, you only actually see the time remaining, which is kind of a negative. Although it's not really a big deal, but you know, that's that. Now let's take a look at the right-click menu on Windows. We have the common options available on both. And then you can compress to zip file, copy as path, or set as desktop background. Now, on Finder, you have quick actions that lets you create a PDF, convert an image to another file type. You can even remove background, which is really cool, as well as compress them, all without installing any app. Also, Finder has this quick look feature, which Windows still doesn't have. I don't know why. You can do this by pressing the spacebar on any file, and you can instantly preview it without opening it. And this feature goes farther, actually, from copying text, trimming videos, and even spinning around a 3D file right inside of Quick Click. Okay, so having a decent file management is one thing, but having a PC that smart searches your entire system, that's what takes productivity to another level. Both Windows and macOS actively encourages this using Windows Search and Spotlight Search on Mac. Spoiler alert, one is way better. Both can easily find your documents, calculate as a calculator, can open apps, even convert currency, or show time on another country. But here's the thing, Windows Search relies heavily on web results more than Spotlight Search. So Spotlight is quicker and can work offline. Honestly, Spotlight Search is better due to its tight integration of macOS and its apps. You can describe an image and get matching pics from your photos library, track an app name, or look for contacts and can message, call, or video call, or email them, which you can't really do on Windows, to be honest. Now, closing a window is different for both Windows and macOS. On Windows, closing a window quits the app entirely, but on Mac, it doesn't really quit the app. But there's a logic to this actually. Even when the last window is closed, you can still open a new document from the menu bar. And to actually quit an app, you either have to right click on the dock, then select quit, or click on the menu bar, then quit the app, or press the Command plus Q button. But here's the caveat. When an app can't have multiple windows like the system settings, for example, closing the window actually quits the app. Alright, so the maximize button. On Windows, you simply click the maximize button and it goes to full screen. Now on the Mac, on the other hand, the green button throws the window into full screen but hides the menu bar and the dock, similar to putting a video into full screen mode, which is kind of annoying to be honest with you. You can double click the toolbar on Safari, but it will maximize up to the content without any empty spaces instead of filling the entire screen. That can be a good thing, sometimes can be a bad thing, whichever your preference is. What you can do actually is hold down the Alt or Option key, then double click the corner. That will result in going Windows like full screen, filling up the entire screen. Although third-party apps like Chrome, for example, it just behaves like Windows when you double-click on the toolbar and it fills up the entire screen. Okay, number 5, Windows snapping. Now this also goes to Windows snapping, and this feature has been on Windows since, I don't know, Windows 7. And Mac hasn't implemented this feature until very recently, and even then it's somewhat garbage, to be honest. You have to hold down the Option or Alt key and then hover on the green button and then choose to move window to the left or right side of the screen. This is why I'm using a third-party app called Rectangle Pro. It basically mimics like the window snapping on the Mac. Okay, number 6, Now let's talk about the Alt-Tab shortcut to quickly search between windows. On Mac version, it's Command-Alt-Tab, which is kind of the same location for the Windows button. I mean, the Command button is located where the Alt button is on Windows keyboard. But on Mac, it isn't exactly the same, as it's only used to hop between apps and not between specific windows. Once you're on the app, you can press the Command plus tilde, that's a key beside the number 1 button to the left. And then you can hop between the windows. But what you'll be frequently using on the Mac is the mission control, which you can press the F3 key on the Mac keyboard or hold down the control button plus the up arrow, which is the equivalent to the function keys, aka the F keys. Though Windows can actually have a similar one, which is task view, but it's kind of a meh. Number 7, multitask. But there are at least half a dozen ways to multitask on macOS. Take Stage Manager that isn't found on Windows, for example, where it lines up window previews on the left side and puts whatever you're working on the center. This is useful, I think, for MacBooks, but I have a triple 4K monitor, so I never use it. But the problem with Mac is that a lot of the apps are primarily made for Windows, and most of the time doesn't have a Mac version. Or when it does, it doesn't really work properly sometimes. This is Windows' advantage, since it still has about 70% of the market share, especially the older generations. But in my opinion, this issue is a bit overstated. It really boils down to which app you are using, like Office work. Both OSs handle Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and all Microsoft Office 365 apps on Windows and Mac. Though macOS has native versions like Pages, Numbers, and Keynote, which are free, while Microsoft isn't. And if you want to edit photos, macOS is a better choice, as it is optimized for content creation or editing. It has a very consistent color accurate displays and a free close to professional photo editing app. But if you're an engineer, this is probably 99% Windows. And not to mention stuff like gaming. There's no competition there. But programmers and developers surprisingly love macOS way more than Windows because it's based on Unix and easily runs nearly all Linux softwares. Combined with the fact that consuming contents like videos, images, or social media is way easier on Mac. Alright, number 8, App Store. Now speaking of apps, on Windows we've got the Microsoft Store, which pretty much was copied from Apple's App Store. And the App Store is easy, safe, and keeps everything in one spot, like app updates and managing subscriptions. But quite a few developers don't like the App Store due to the App Store's strict mandates. A good example is Google Chrome. You have to download it directly from Google's site. And this is true for Windows as well. And from there, it's pretty straightforward. Download the exe file on Windows, while on macOS, it's .dmg file, and go through the installation steps. Number 9, installing apps. Speaking of installations, on macOS it's quite different because 90% of the apps are self-contained, meaning it is a bundled folder which makes it portable. Second, it doesn't need a deep registry integration unlike Windows. macOS doesn't rely on central registry, which makes apps run independently. You simply just drag the app to the applications folder like copying a folder. Or you can even keep it in your user folder and it will still run perfectly fine. You can see this by right-clicking an app, then show packaged contents. Alright, number 10, uninstalling apps. Now you can see where this is going. When you uninstall an app on Windows 11, you have to go to Settings, Apps, uninstall the apps, or go to Control Panel on older Windows versions. On Mac, you simply drag the app to the trash, or right-click, move to trash, and that's it, just like deleting a folder. Number 11. Now let's move on to copying or moving the files. On Windows, to move a file, to copy, you can drag while holding the Control key and drop it to the folder, or press Ctrl-C, then Ctrl-V to paste. Now on macOS, to move a file is still based on the old Unix way. First off, pressing Command+C copies it, and then Command-V to paste it to the folder. But if you want to move the file, you need to press Command-C again to copy, and then press Ctrl plus Alt or Option key, then V, which indicates it to copy and paste the files, then delete the old file. You can also drag and drop, just like on Windows, to move the file, or hold down the Command key to copy. Alright, that's enough tips for now. Hopefully you like the comparisons between Windows and macOS. Don't forget to smash the like button, and if you haven't yet, consider subscribing. Also, let me know on the comments down below if you want more comparisons between macOS and Windows, or if you want more tips, I could probably make another video for that. Might have a few in another video actually. But in the meantime, here are Mac settings that actually makes it better than Windows. You'll see it here or here. So I'll see you there.